Hello, hello, Sacred Energy Mastery people. It's been a little while since I did a spontaneous live. God, it's glary, isn't it? Hang on. I tried to get that right before. Didn't work. All right. Okay, that's better. My eyes were hurting. Here I am again at midday. Apparently midday is the best time for me to do lives. I've noticed I always seem to be coming on at this kind of time. All right. There's so many things that I want to say. So many things. Firstly, given the cyclone, the Friday 7th of March podcast might not happen at exactly the time that I want it to. 10 a.m. Friday may well be when the heaviness of the winds and rain and all that is going to hit and be disrupting power and internet. So that's the first thing. I just wanted to let you know, if I don't show up, that is why. Yeah, I'm just feeling into the intuition and the energetics to decide when to make that happen. This is sort of in response to that. So I've just completed a private session for one of my mentoring clients, and it was really fascinating and very representative of the whole in terms of emotional content. So at the moment, many of us are experiencing the chaotic energetics that are whipping this earth response, cyclonic activity, up into present in your face, very much something to be aware of. There's a number of components to this particular energetic situation at the moment, and I want to touch on all of it, but we might spiral around because there's a cyclone and it spirals, and the energetics at the moment are incredibly spiral-like. They are dredging up heavy emotions from all sorts of dark, interesting places, all sorts of shadow aspects of ourselves. And those of us who are conscious experience these waves of heavy, dark, shadow, low frequency energies and emotions in our own bodies because we're highly sensitive, right? Some of it is ours, some of it is our darkness, some of it is our shadow, but not necessarily from this lifetime. There are other dimensional spaces at play simultaneously at the moment. We have a real convergence of energetics happening at the moment, which is causing us to be able to identify, bring to awareness and release heavy stuff that we may well have been carrying as souls for a really long time. This is one of the reasons I was like, who's got their hand up for regression, a past life regression, and identifying your starseed origins and things like this, because the energetics at the moment are churning across all dimensional spaces. We are not isolated to just this physical three-dimensional reality. We are all in tune with all sorts of other dimensional frequencies, particularly at the moment. So one of the things that's happening is that we are having our own chaos individually, remembering that what happens to the individual also happens on a macro level. What happens to the micro is also playing out on the macro, and what happens on the macro is also playing out on the micro within ourselves and our cells. So on an emotional level, we're experiencing big, heavy emotion. Things that we perhaps sometimes have thought, oh, I thought I was through that, or, oh, I thought, I dealt with that issue, or whatever, these thought processes that come up. We're like, why is this happening again? Why am I in this darkness again? What the fuck is going on? Why am I experiencing all these scary emotions? Why have I got this heightened anxiety and this overwhelm and this anger? So I want to speak to the anger. I'll come back to that. Um, what's happening is that we are collapsing timelines again. We're reaching new levels of um, perspective and penetration of other lifetimes in this physical body at the moment, which means that we're experiencing emotions that belong to other aspects of self in other dimensional timelines. And we're having to purge those out of our human system where we're focused. Our energetics, our human consciousness is focused here in these bodies. That's why it's playing out here in these bodies right now. So there are a few patterns of emotion that I'm seeing big coming up and swirling around in a spiral like motion and surfacing. So they come from deep down in a spiral like motion and they surface to the top of our consciousness so that they're right in our face, because we can't change an emotional expression. We can't improve or transcend shadow or trauma or difficulties unless we can see it. So these darknesses, these heavy energies of guilt, shame, blame, humiliation, embarrassment, rage, and anger, they have to come to the surface of our consciousness so that we can bring awareness to the shadow. And when we bring awareness, we bring light. And when we bring light, we can transmute and transcend these low emotional experiences into higher ones that aren't as destructive. So, talking about from the human perspective, some of the patterns that I'm noticing in myself, I got hit with a wave of rage, and I haven't felt rage like that for a really long time. Like, I'm talking decades. Back then, I was way less conscious and way less practiced at dealing with the big emotions. But this one was like a tidal wave of rage that came up through me and out. I didn't take it out on anybody else too badly. I got a little bit snippy with some people, but back in the day, it would have caused a full-blown emotional meltdown and neurodivergent collapse, which then would result in burnout. So that doesn't happen to me anymore. But this wave was so big that I was confused because I hadn't experienced that much shadow for a really long time. Now, there are two things happening. When we experience shadow within our own beings, there is an aspect or a dimensional aspect of self that is still trapped in those low frequency experiences on another timeline. And that timeline has become visible and discernible from where we are now through our nervous system, through our body's emotional responses. So it might not necessarily be rage of now. It might be ancestral rage. It might be generational anger. It might be collective rage, collective anger, collective darkness. And one of the challenges is to recognize what's ours in terms of emotional response and what belongs to the other dimensional spaces or to the collective consciousness of humanity. So the way to get around this is to do some tapping, right? Is to tap away what's yours. So with this client that I've just seen, the pattern of fear of annihilation came up. And so we cleared what was hers, and it did feel like it was another dimensional aspect of self. It didn't feel like it was this lifetime, the one that she's focused in now. It felt like there were other dimensional places, that were coming forward for her to clear. But what we tapped on was, now that it's here, now that we can feel it, that sense of annihilation, now that we've identified that it's not her in this lifetime, but it might be her from another dimensional space, we were able to clear that emotional response from all of her timelines. And then what we did was clear it from anything she was reflecting from humanity, from the people around her, and from the greater collective consciousness. So spiritual work or energetic work, it starts with us. We clear ourselves first. We deal with our own personal shadows, whether it's this lifetime or others. And then if we are one of these souls who's been planted here on earth by our choice to assist in the ascension of humanity, then we also start to shift things and hold higher frequency archetypes on behalf of all of humanity. We come in to assist in the transmutation of low frequency emotions to raise them to higher level emotions on behalf of the whole planet. And it's no small work, because as highly sensitive beings, whether you identify as highly sensitive, neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, in this context, I don't give a damn, right? It doesn't matter to me. If you're with me, we can all assume that you're highly sensitive, whether you want to call yourself an empath, highly sensitive, neurodivergent, doesn't matter. I'm going to use the terms interchangeably. So as a highly sensitive person, highly sensitive beings are born with high levels of things called mirror neurons. These are neurons in the mind that literally reflect reality. And then that reflection becomes our perception of what reality looks like. So at the moment, I got caught up in this emotion a few days ago of reflecting the predominant darkness of humanity to the point where I started to become really despairing. I tuned right in, unfortunately, to the collective destruction, the collective hatred, the collective darkness that has been risen to the surface at the moment. And my overactive, many times more mirror neurons than the average human started to reflect the shadow too much, to the point where that was all I was seeing. I was just seeing all the destruction and all the emotional turmoil that humanity is going through at the moment. And one of the things we have to recognize as highly sensitive beings is that it's not always ours, and we are literally empathing, taking into ourselves and reflecting into our outer reality the predominant vibration of the collective consciousness at the moment, not always, right? At the moment. So at the moment, there is a big surge coming. There is a big shadow lifting up from deep down in our cellular memories, in our collective memories, in our soul memories, in order for it to be cleared and shifted, cleared and released. Somebody's just looking for me. So there is a big purge happening. It's really happening. This is a good thing, because when shadows are hidden, they stay subversive, they stay detrimental, they stay destructive, and they destroy our biology, and they destroy humanity, the biology of humanity. They destroy the planet. Now, when the shadows arise within us, we can clear it. Okay, those of you who are heart warriors, you have tools, techniques, and assistive things in the Ascension Archives folder to help you to shift your own shadow. Okay, that's free with your membership. Membership is $49 for the month, and you get all sorts of resources, as well as 2 90-minute live sessions a month. You know, $49. I mean, I don't even think you can get a meal at a cafe for that these days. So it's amazing value. So if you're not yet a heart warrior, I do recommend that you sign up for that. And come to the lives if you can. I do hot seat coaching about your specific issues, questions that you have about your spiritual ascension and your practical real world human life, because they're not separate, for $49 a month. So please sign up to that if that resonates. And we clear our personal stuff first. Where was I? Okay, so what's happening at the moment? Energy spirals always. It's always a spiral, okay? Always. So what we're seeing in the clouds, what we're seeing in the weather right now, I am very excited about, because when you understand what's going on, it takes the fear out of the experience. If you are afraid, you are feeding your own consciousness, and you are feeding the consciousness of the planet, which is reflecting human consciousness back to itself, when you buy into the fear that's within you and you don't clear that, you will see fear outside of yourself in the world around you. If you are holding hate, you will perceive hate in the world around you. If there's something of a dimensional experience that you haven't yet resolved that is bringing sensations of fear, hatred, annihilation, rage, whatever it is, whatever the big emotion is for you, you want to clear that in yourself so that you are perceiving less of it in the world around you. What we experience inside of ourselves is directly reflected on the outside of ourselves, the way we perceive reality. And what we see on the outside of ourselves in the earth, in the cataclysmic shifts that are going on with earthquakes and tsunamis and cyclones, the earth is literally reflecting the chaos that humanity is feeding back to us so that we can see it. That is my take. Okay. Now, please take this information into yourself. As my client just said, she said at the end after we'd done her specific clearing, and we did do some universal clearing as well. But when we came out of it, I said, "How did that go for you?" And she said, "Well, it was like I was remembering what I already knew." And I'm like, "Yes, exactly." So I am a reflection of you. You are reflections of me. So if what I'm saying is resonating for you, then take it into your heart, feel it out. If it feels light, if it feels right, if it feels like memory, if it feels like, oh, I knew that. I knew that. When she said it, I suddenly realized and I knew that I knew that. That is an indication that this is truth that is right for you. If you take this information into yourself and you move it around in there in your heart space and you go, yeah, some of that feels right, but I'm not sure about the rest, then that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to believe me. You have to believe you. One of the most important teachings I have for my clients is don't trust me, trust you. Take the information that I reflect back to you, take it into yourself, move it to your truth space, move it to your sacred heart, check with resonance. If it resonates, if it feels light, if it feels true, if it feels right, if it gives you a lift and a sense of belonging, if it gives you a sense of knowing and settledness in your nervous system, then it's likely true for you. Okay, if it doesn't do that, if it makes you feel uneasy, then that's okay. Just observe the dis-ease, observe the uneasiness, and come back to it at a later date, because it might mean you're not ready for that information yet. It might mean that that's not true for you because you've got a different archetype to me. It might mean that you're at a different dimensional consciousness and you're learning something else right now. So please trust yourself, your own intuition, your own divinity. If you haven't got your divinity to a level yet where your strength of knowing is really good yet, then you might want to join Heart Warriors, right? Because we're going to teach you in there how to raise your frequency, how to transcend the lower aspects of self, how to learn to trust your intuition, how to trust your own sovereignty and divinity above mine for your reality. Right, so back to the cyclone. The cyclone is representative. It is reflective of the chaos that is energetically resolving itself on planet Earth within humanity at this time. Is it a real cyclone? Yes. Please do what you need to do. Be intelligent. You have a human body. You need to protect your human body from the big chaotic forces of the planet. Don't be silly. Don't be complacent, but be calm. When you know that what we're seeing on the outside is a reflection of what's going on in the inside, that is incredibly empowering because you can do something about that. You can sense the force of the energy swirling in that cyclone, and you can use that force to shift any shadow that might be in your current experience personally. We can ask that cyclone. It's conscious, right? We can ask the resonant consciousness of that cyclone to dissolve and resolve, because that's what it does when it hits land, right? It resolves and dissolves, and it gives rise to higher order energetics. Think of it in physics. Think of it in weather terms. A low, which is what a cyclone is, it's a tropical low, resolves and eventually becomes a tropical high. Hectopascals, right? Hectopascals are frequencies. So the cyclone is showing us turmoil, it's showing us chaos, it's showing you how you personally respond emotionally to external forces. Are you currently in a state of fear? Or are you in a state of calm preparedness? Are you in a state of, wow, fascination? Wow, look at the force of nature doing its thing, resolving stuff on our behalf. Thank you, Mother Earth. Or are you running around desperately scrambling for provisions and bowling people over and being stressed and nasty to people who get in your way? This is a real indicator of humanity's current emotional status. When we speak to the cyclone, we can speak to the cyclone within our own selves and cells, and we can speak to the cell that is the storm cyclone, the macro version of our own inner storm. And we can ask for easy, effortless resolution of any low frequency energies, entities, and influences, emotional states of being, of shame, blame, humiliation, embarrassment, anger, sadness. We can ask. We can give all of those low frequency emotions to the cyclone and say, please take these, resolve them, and dissolve them with love and consciousness, with thanks, with gratitude. Thank you to the earth for showing us our chaos as humanity. Thank you to the earth because this chaos is going to bring connection to humanity if we allow it to. It's going to connect people in positive ways if we allow it to. Is there going to be destruction? Yes. Is there going to be annihilation of physical properties and people's lives? Probably. When we are stripped back of our human belongings, we are forced to detach from those material attachments. We are forced to release the fear of loss of those physical detachments because the loss allows us to grieve, and grief is pent up emotion that has been sitting in our system for way too long. When we hold big emotions like those lower frequencies in our cellular structures, it creates dis-ease, disharmony, it creates illness, it creates pain, it creates suffering. So the annihilation of people's properties, places, things, potentially people being unwell, being physically damaged or hurt, that is tragic on a human level. But the opportunity for humanity is to bring compassion and to connect to our fellow humans with love. This is what this cyclone is here to teach us. It reflects our own chaos, asking us to face it, asking us to see it, asking it to come to a higher order, to lift it out of the dark quagmire, the mud, and up into higher order. It also allows us as a macro society, if you can see people as cells, right? We have cells in our body, and our cells form the community of Kristy, the community of B, the community of Sam. But we as individuals, Kristy, Sam, B, Mark, John, we form the structure of humanity. And humanity feeds the collective consciousness of the planet, and the planet reflects that back to us. We have an opportunity to connect with each other with love and compassion now in the preparations for the cyclone, to serve each other, to help each other, to guide each other, to support each other, to love each other. Or we can get sucked down into the vortex the other way, into the darkness and the shadow aspects. So we have choice. This cyclone is bringing consciousness to our choices. It's very exciting on that level. The other thing that happens with big weather systems like this is the enormous quantity of water that gets dumped is very purging. It literally, water carries consciousness. So when we feed the cyclonic activity with compassion and love, when we pour compassion and love into the eye of the cyclone, the water contained in that cyclone is conductive. It holds the pattern that we feed it with. So the cyclone has been gathering the low frequency energies held on the planet around our particular country, in our oceans, but not separate to the other oceans, right? Water is everywhere. It's been collecting up all the low frequency energies, raising it all up, creating a vortex, gathering that vortex, concentrating the vortex, and now it's going to dissipate and break on land. The water that is in that cyclone will flood the land in different places. What we feed the water with is what the land gets fed with. If we are feeding the water with consciousness and love and healing and compassion, then the water that floods the earth will cleanse the earth of low frequency vibrations, raise the frequency in those places that gets flooded, and bring a new higher order of compassion and love and healing to those places. Now, I am summarizing massive amounts of science. I am also summarizing very high level spiritual concepts in a very tight space of time. I'm going to have to go because I've got to pick up my daughter. But I felt it really imperative to jump on and do this live. I'd love to hear what you feel in the comments below. Please note, this is a sanctuary. This group is a sanctuary. I want you to let me know how you've been feeling in yourself. And it might be, I've been feeling rage, I've been feeling darkness, I've been feeling sad, I've been feeling grief. That's perfectly reasonable and okay, and I want you to be able to express that safely here. I will not tolerate trolls. I will not tolerate negative attacks on any other person and their experience in this group. If you are experiencing some heaviness, please join Heart Warriors and use the resources that I have in there to help you deal with your personal experience, or seek out professional assistance to deal with that if it's trauma and very heavy. If you are one of the more light ones that's looking at this storm and going, wow, look at the opportunity we have here. Look at the opportunity we have as spiritual beings, as conscious, awake soul beings who want to love others and love humanity into a higher order, into a higher dimensional space, into a higher, more peaceful, harmonious way of life, then please give that love to those who are struggling. Please share your wisdom. Please share your kindness. Please share support, not by way of telling that person what to do or how to resolve their issues, but by sending them high frequency, compassionate love and healing with your words. Give them comfort, give them support, let them know they're not alone. And that might be as simple as, I've got you, you're okay, you're going to get through this, we love you, it's safe for you to be here. Please understand that loving frequency heals all eventually. Loving frequency heals all eventually. And in all of us, we are going through rapid ascension into these higher emotional states. And right now, the earth is giving us one hell of an opportunity to shift some shit really fucking fast. So when this cyclone comes, stay safe. Don't go outside. Don't do dumb things, and put other people at risk because you need to be saved. Don't do that. But do prepare. do have water, do have torches and lights and candles, do make sure you've got some tinned food for a couple of days. Do batten down the hatches and move projectiles out of your land. Of course, do all of those sensible human things that we need to do to protect each other's human bodies. And then come inside and feel, what can I gift to the universe? What can I give up? What can I release? What can I let go of that I've been holding? What can I allow myself to release to the universe of low frequency energies, entities, and emotions? What am I done with? What can I say thank you to the earth for holding on my behalf, and now ask the earth to dissipate it and release it with love? What can I lovingly request that this cyclone take from me and convert to a higher order of high frequency emotions? And what can I ask with loving attention and intention for the cyclone to just resolve without harm to others? Okay, this cyclone, I'll say it again, is conscious. We can ask the cyclone to effortlessly, easily resolve and dissolve any low frequency energies, entities, and emotions that are there on behalf of all humanity and on behalf of our own selves. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. I hope it's been interesting. I hope it's been relevant. I hope you have felt the truth of what I'm saying. I hope that what I have said has come across in the right way using English. Because often when I tune into the energies, it's sometimes quite difficult to articulate using English language the enormity of what I'm feeling and sensing on an energetic level. But if there is truth in this for you, I'd love to hear your comments below. I'd love to meet many more of you in Heart Warriors. As I said, Friday is a free podcast. If we go ahead, if it doesn't happen on Friday, I will shift that probably to next Friday. Oh no, not next Friday. Next Friday is our book launch day. Maybe I'll do both. I'll see. I'm just literally following intuitive guidance at the moment. I'm flowing with divine order. And this is what we can do too. I'll just finish on this. This is your opportunity to let go of control. This is your opportunity to ask God, Spirit, Source, your guides, the universe, the force, whoever, whatever you want to call it. This is your opportunity to say, I relinquish control. I will do what I can, and then I'm handing it over. I'm going to hand it up to Spirit. I'm going to hand it higher. I'm going to say, please, thank you, thank you, thank you, and please for protecting me and my family. Thank you, thank you, thank you for raising us to a higher order. Thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing peace to the planet. Thank you for showing me where I can take more love, where I can vibe higher. Thank you for showing where Spirit is shining light on my shadow so that I may resolve it and dissolve it and be free. Be free, because here's the thing, we're never truly free while we're still holding onto our low frequency shadow, our unconscious shadow. We can't be free if we're operating from unconscious patterns of destruction. That is all. All right. I'll drop below the link to Heart Warriors, and I hope you'll join me in there at our next transmission, whenever that will be, whenever Spirit guides me, in the wake of this beautiful, amazing, powerful opportunity that is presented with Cyclone Alfred. Lots of love to you all. Sending you all sorts of good vibes for the good of all. All right. Bye, loves.